there are ways to be safe that don't completely isolate you. And I think like that's what I'm going for here is like we do need to rely on each other a little bit. We need to wave to our neighbors a little bit, you know? Because if we don't do that, if we don't build the village, then we don't have the village when we need it. And then we're all alone when we're lost in the mall. You know, we lose everything. We need each other. And that is why you talk about the weather in the elevator. Hey beautifuls, welcome back to the Neurodivergent Creative. Today I would like to talk about small talk, which is a weird topic for me because normally I'm like, fuck small talk, fuck subtext, just say what you mean. But small talk actually does have a very like important societal and cultural purpose. And I didn't quite like have a grasp on why, you know, like I couldn't tell you like why talking about the weather is fine. But at my writing retreat in October, we all did unhinged PowerPoints. So we had topics like, why Bob's Burgers is some of the best television being written right now, and what audio description is, and fashion of the like early 18th century. So basically everybody got to like pick a special interest and present on it. We had one about like a certain period of like the X-Men comics, and I learned so much about the X-Men. It was pretty impressive. So we got a lot of like film and media thoughts, and we got to see a lot of like different interesting interests. Like one of our members is very into cryptids. And so we learned about a cryptid called the squonk, which can cry itself out of existence. It can cry so hard that its whole body turns into tears. And I was very sad for the squonk. But this is not an episode about the squonk. This is an episode about small talk, which was one of the topics presented upon. And the writer who presented this was like a little bit worried, knowing that he was coming in and presenting to me an avowed autistic anti-subtexter. And I guess he thought I was going to be like, this is stupid. Small talk is bad. But like, I actually learned a lot, and it put a lot of language to like why we do small talk and why it's important. So whether you love it or you hate it, buckle up. We're going to talk about it. First, another story about a time that I went to New York. And New York stresses me out because all of the cabs, all of the cars, every single car is honking. And that stresses me out as a soft little Midwesterner, where like we only honk when you're at a green light and you're not moving. And it's like, doot, doot, hey, buddy, you might want to pay attention. Or like if you get cut off in traffic. Very, very seldom is there honking. Like I don't get honked at every day that I drive. But in New York, you get honked at every time that you go outside. There will be honking. How many times can I say honking? And what helped me, because that would like activate my nervous system, right? I'd be like, something is wrong. Because when somebody honks, I am worried that I'm in the way and I'm being honked at and I'm about to get run over by a bus. So my nervous system is like kind of on the lookout for these honks so that I can make sure I am safe. Except even when I'm in another car and then my car honks, I'm like, to the driver, like, why did you honk? Why are you honking? This is not a honking situation. But in New York, it is. Because in New York, all the cars are saying, I'm a car. I'm a car. Hey, I'm a car. I'm a car. And that's what the honking is. It is sort of like two dogs sniffing each other's butts. Just, hey, how you doing? I'm a car. Honk, beep, beep. And once I could conceptualize it like that, I got a lot more comfortable, and the honking did not activate like my nervous system so much. So I was able to just be like, oh, a honk, that is a New York sound. And I could look around if I wanted to find the reason for a honk, but I also didn't have to. I'm not obligated to find the reason for a New York honk. What a sentence I just said. Beautiful. Anyway, so I told you that story to tell you this story, which is that two human beings in an elevator want to do something, right? We want to acknowledge each other. We want to say like, hi. And the way that we do that is small talk. This is a way that we make a little micro connection with another human being in our area. And it's basically just saying, hi, I'm a person. And then they're saying, hi, I'm a person. And the way that we do that is to be like, really shitty weather we're having, right? Talking about the weather, like when there are criticisms of small talk and talking about the weather, it's like, because that doesn't matter. But like, let me tell you, as somebody who can intellectualize every single fucking thing to death, sometimes it's nice to talk about things that aren't deep philosophical issues and quandaries. Sometimes it's nice to just talk to another person and be like, it's cold out. And they're like, yeah, it's cold out. And then when you leave that situation, you can say, stay warm. And that's kind. You're being kind to another person without having to be like, hello, my name is Caitlin. I live in Akron. Where do you live? Because that's weird. Don't ask people where they live. That's weird. But what you can do is be like, it's fucking cold out. And then we have beep, beep, beeped. I'm a car. You're a car. I'm a dog. You're a dog. I'm a person. You're a person. Like, give a compliment. I love giving compliments as small talk. So like if somebody has a cute bag and it's got a print with like little cartoon dogs on it, I'll be like, I love your bag. That's so cute. It doesn't have to be any more than that. If I want that bag, I could say, where'd you get that bag? And maybe they'll say, I made it. Or maybe they'll say, I got it on Etsy. Or maybe they'll be like, it's a seller on Instagram. Let me tell you their account. And then I can look up their account. Like there are little teeny ways that just being in contact with another person and just affirming, you're a person, I'm a person. You're a person, I'm a person. That does a lot for us, honestly, socially, culturally. So like the weather is a great one. If you're like standing in line at the same restaurant or something, you're standing in line at the bank, like the weather's always a safe one. Or if like the line's moving really slow, you can talk about that. You can be like, man, like they're really busy today. All you are doing is reaching out and affirming, you're a person, I'm a person. We have a little moment of connection. Because what sucks is a society where like nobody talks to each other and we only reserve conversation for our inner circle. That, I believe, is not how a society is supposed to work. Like in a community, like the phrase, it takes a village. It doesn't just take a village to raise a child, although it does, but like it takes a village to be a village. Right? And if we want the village, if we want the community, if we want somebody had a house fire and so we all came together and, everybody threw in $20 to help that family stay at a hotel for a couple nights, or we all donated sheets and curtains and things that they lost. Like that is something that it takes a village for. And small talk is part of that village. Small talk is like when I walk my dog, I take Gwen out and sometimes we run into the neighbor on the corner and her little dog, Lucy, who loves Gwen and wants to see Gwen and play with Gwen. Gwen's a little bit nervous, but even Gwen likes it. Even Gwen will go up and be like, oh, I'm excited. Tail wag, tail wag. It's another dog. I get to see another dog. And I'm sitting there and I'm talking to Lucy's human being and I'm like, it's cold out. Because that is something in common that we have. We are both out here walking our dogs. It's chilly. It's December right now, so it's cold. So you're getting cold content. Let's see. There's other ones too. Like we've got a neighbor across the street. He's got 2 dogs. He like always has 2 dogs. So like once one dog passes, he will go get a new dog like almost the next day. Like this is a 2-dog man. A 2-dog household because he also has a wife. I haven't really met the wife, but I've talked to the guy several times. And sometimes, like if I'm walking Gwen and he's driving his truck, like he's coming in or he's leaving, he'll stop and roll down the window and be like, how you doing? And I'll be like, oh, I'm really good. Now, sometimes he's chatty and sometimes I don't want to be that chatty. And so my partner will come and be like, hey, you left the stove on. Like, do you need to come in here? And like, he'll give me like a little out so that I can end the conversation because I'm not very good at that. I worry that that's rude, that I'm like, well, this has been nice, but I have to go now. But you're allowed to say that. You're not obligated to stay in small talk indefinitely. Small talk is that little connection, is that little beep, beep. I'm a car, you're a car. I'm a person, you're a person. But something that I do just about every time I go outside of the house is the latest dog that they got. Her name is Molly. She is like a sheepdog mix. So she's beautiful. She's like white, fluffy. She's got like some like black speckles, but she's like mostly white. And I know that she is excited to see us because she is wagging her tail. She is wagging her tail so hard, but she barks a lot. And at first her barking made me nervous. And I was like, she's mean. She wants to bite us. She wants to attack us. And then I realized, no, she's wagging her tail. She's just, I'm a dog. I'm a dog. That's a dog. I'm a dog. I see you. And so every time I open the door, if she's barking, I go, hi, Molly. And it's fine. She wags her tail because I know her name. And that's adorable. And that's what small talk is. Small talk is just a little touch, a little acknowledgement that makes people feel seen. Now, the flip side of this is this sort of individualistic society that we have been cultivating where it's like every man for himself, don't talk to strangers at all. you don't owe anybody anything. And so people can be like really cold. And I don't like that as much, And it's so, one time I was outside being a weirdo. This was when my butterfly was becoming a butterfly. So it's like the day that the chrysalis opened and like a butterfly is out drying her wings and like being amazing. And somebody who I assume was like a high school senior or something, like they looked very young, but like also, I don't know, like they could have been like in their early 20s, but like they seemed young to me. And I was like really excited about my butterfly. And what I wanted to say was, hey, do you want to see a butterfly? But I'm like, that's a little much. That's not small talk. That's weird neighbor. And so I was just like, hey. And this person like was like, hey. And then they finished putting their earbuds in and they kept walking. Earbuds, very great signal. That signal says, don't talk to me. And that's literally fine. You are allowed to have a signal that says, don't talk to me. You're allowed to wear a t-shirt that says like, unfriendly, do not approach. Like, that's fine. You can curate your experience, but like not everybody who is trying to just like say hi is doing so out of like wanting your attention or wanting your focus. Sometimes they're just affirming, you're a person, I'm a person. You're a person, I'm a person. Now, if somebody's pestering you, that's different. That's not what I'm talking about. And I'm doing this new thing where I try not to have to go into every single nuance. Like, I'm just going to trust you that you are a competent person listening to me. And you know that, like, if a man is walking behind you, keeping pace and being like, hey, I like your dress, that's not small talk. That's not what I'm talking about. But I don't have to sit here and tell you that because you're a smart person and you can figure that out. What kind of brought me to this topic today specifically was a post on Threads where somebody said that her 2-year-old said hi to like 20 people. They were going for a walk or they were in the store. I'm not sure what it was. And her 2-year-old daughter said hi to 20 different people and nobody said hi back to a child. And that to me is a little bit of a symptom. And some people in the replies in the thread were like, well, like stranger danger, like, why are you teaching your kid to talk to strangers? And I'm like, how far has society fallen where saying hi is like, that's going to get turned around and victim blamed? Like, well, if your child gets kidnapped, it's because you taught her to say hello. Y'all, back up, get a grip. Saying hello to children is kind of a fundamental thing that we should be doing. Children should know that the world is relatively safe, right? If a child is going to grow up with secure attachment and like become a competent adult who is not insecure and their nervous system is freaking out all the time, like if you treat every single thing, like Finding Nemo, okay? Deep cut. I'm millennial, elder millennial here. So in Finding Nemo, Marlin is way overprotective of Nemo. And eventually he mentions that to Dory. And he's like, I said I would never let anything happen to him. And she said, well, if you never let anything happen to him, then nothing will ever happen to him. As in, he will not get to experience life. He will not get to learn things. If you are completely isolating your child from interacting with the outside world beyond you, your family, your home, maybe school, then like you're not setting that kid up for being able to like ask for help, for being able to talk to people, for being able to do small talk, right? Like you get to the bank and somebody's like, bad weather out there. And they're like, stranger danger, you're going to kidnap me. And yeah, there are some bad people out there, but 20 people ignoring a child and then that child getting sad that nobody wanted to say hi to her, to what end? We need to be smiling at children. That is Caitlin Fisher's take. Smile at children, especially if their parent is right there. I am a person who makes faces at babies in the grocery store. If I see a baby in a shopping cart and that baby makes eye contact with me, I am about to make the silliest face because I want to make that baby laugh. Because when I make a baby laugh, it makes me feel good and I get to ride that high for like a week. Oh yeah, I made a baby laugh on Tuesday. Now it's Friday and I'm still remembering how good it felt to make that baby laugh. Making a child smile or laugh is one of life's greatest pleasures, okay? If you have not made a baby laugh, try it. Find a baby, get permission, right? Don't go up to a random baby and be like, I'm going to make you laugh today. Context clues are important. But if you're in line or you're at the grocery store and there's a baby, especially if you've got like pink hair and big pink glasses, like if you stand out at all, kids are going to look at you. Kids are going to want to say hi and you get to make a weird face. That is something that you are allowed to do. And I don't know, sometimes we're like, I don't want to be cringe. I don't want to be weird. There is such a difference between saying hello to a child in passing who's waving at you, right? This is a person. A child is still a person, and that child is trying to have some small talk with you. And if you deny that social contract, this child is learning like people are assholes. And somebody in the comments was like, I don't talk to kids anymore because when I do say hi to kids, their mom freaks out at me like I'm weird. And that I'm like, okay, I get it. I get that you're concerned for your kids' safety. But do we have to like treat everybody like they're potential predators? Like, can't we just like learn how to recognize the signs of bad people? Some bad people are very good at hiding their bad peopleness, but like, you know, there's instincts, there's intuition, there's gut instincts. And also like a stranger saying hi in passing in the grocery store is like, you're probably fine. Now, if you keep seeing that person, if you see that person like 5 times and they're always in the same aisle as you, that's weird. Go tell security, go tell a manager. But like a random person just being like, hi, baby, weird face for baby. Go on with your day. This is fine. Now, I do say this as someone who does not have a child. I don't have kids. I have been like a preschool daycare teacher. I have been a nanny. Like, I love kids. I have worked with kids a lot. I really respect kids. And that is why I say hello to them, especially if I've got Gwen. Kids love Gwen because she's small and she's timid and she's not barky. So they're like, can I pet your dog? And then I have to calm Gwen down and be like, okay, sit. Okay, this child is about to approach you. They're going to touch you on the head. It's going to be fine. And like, she'll give a little sniff and then they get to pet a cute corgi. You know, it's a win for everybody involved. As long as we are having the one interaction and then moving the fuck on, it's pretty okay to talk to children. Don't have a deep conversation with them. Don't go up to a kid and be like, what's your favorite dessert? Unless you're at the Cheesecake Factory and this kid is staring at you from the next table over, looking at your cheesecake, you can respond to that. You don't have to ignore that child. You can teach them that when they stare at somebody's cheesecake, that person might talk to them and ask what's going on, you know? Or you can talk to the mom, the parent. Maybe it's a dad. Wouldn't that be crazy? So, you know, like if this kid is talking to you and you look around for a parent and like make eye contact with the parent, that is a safe, normal adult thing for you to have done. You're not just taking this kid and being like, oh, cool, this is me and my buddy. This kid's name is Peter. Me and Peter are buds. We're going to go on the swings. No, you're not. You're a grown adult. What you will do is scan the area for Peter's mom. And when you see Peter's mom, be like, hey, is this yours? And then she'll come over and she'll be like, Peter, don't bother this nice lady. And you can be like, it's not a problem. We were just talking about corn or whatever it is. Sorry, that the video of the kid who likes corn popped into my head. So blah, 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 blah. This is not advice saying, let your kids talk to strangers, every single stranger. This is not advice saying, go find a kid and talk to them. Don't call children it. That's not good. There was a whole book about that. But like, treat small talk like it is a moment of human connection. And I think you may see an improved connection with other people personally. Like, I don't know, go into restaurants and local stores regularly, get to know the people there. It feels good. It feels good to connect with people. Also, it can be very valuable to have relationships where you skip the small talk. Like when you're friends with somebody, you don't need to do the I'm a human, you're a human as much. Like that is, small talk is usually for like people that you don't really know. When you're friends, the neurotypical thing to do is still to start with small talk. It sort of like establishes like a baseline of like, hey, we're here together. We're going to talk about things. But then the neurodivergent people are like, I already know you. We don't need to talk about the weather. I know the weather sucks. Like, let's talk about your mom. How's she doing? She's still terrible. We've already established the connection. So like the neurodivergent tendency is to like get right in. I actually remember my dad being upset with me once because I started a message to him on Facebook by just asking a question. I was like, hey, do you have retirement savings? Like, do you have estate planning? Because I think I was on my Dave Ramsey journey. And so I was learning about, you know, money and retirement and how to freaking live your life. And so I was like, oh, I should make sure that my dad has these fundamental things in place. And so I reached out and I was just like, hey, Dad, do you have a retirement plan? And he got upset with me because I didn't start a conversation. I didn't start with the hello, how are you? But that to me feels disingenuous when I have a question to ask you. And then I start by being like, how you doing? How's the weather? What you been up to? Here's my question. That feels like I'm trying to like lead up to the question in a way that feels strange to me. Whereas, like if you get right to it, honestly, if somebody sends me a DM on Facebook or whatever, and they're just like, hey, I have a question, I am a little annoyed. Because if you know me, why are we, hey, I have a question? Just send me the question. Just send me the question. That's what I want. So these are the three tenets of small talk by Caitlin Fisher. 1, small talk is just a way to connect with another human person. Talk about something very low stakes. It is just, I'm a human, you're a human, like a car honking in New York. Number 2, talking to children is a normal part of society. You don't have to be scared of children, and you don't have to be scared of people talking to your children. But do pay attention, because there are shitty people out there, okay? But not everybody is shitty. So I think one of the things, I lied. I was going to give you a little recap, 1, 2, 3, and then I had another thought. So I've heard people talk about teaching kids, not necessarily stranger danger, because like, what if they get lost? Like if you lose your kid at the mall, an ancient place full of shops where we used to go shopping. I don't know where people would lose their kids. We don't really do malls anymore, but say you lose your kid in the mall. A lot of people, I have seen this like going around online a lot, teach that kid, go find a mom with kids. Go find another mom who has kids and ask her for help. And that is teaching kids like a context clue. So like, don't just go up to anybody. Go up to a mom with kids or a dad with kids. Go up to a parent who has kids with them, because that parent knows how to help kids. And so that's like a really easy thing to teach your kid, as opposed to like, don't talk to anybody. Well, now they're alone. They've lost you, and they're terrified of every single person around them. Not great. I feel like that's going to be a little more traumatizing than if they just look around and see somebody. I think I've actually seen, this wasn't about a kid, but I saw another post on Threads where somebody had an interaction with like an older Asian woman who didn't speak much English at all, but she managed to communicate that she needed a ride. She was like a little bit lost and she needed a ride somewhere. And so this person was like, well, okay. And the woman like indicated, like turn here, turn there. Like she's indicating like just with hand gestures. And finally, the person who was telling this story, like gets the lady to where she needs to go. And like her daughter comes out and is like, oh my God, thank you. And she talks to her mom for a second and then says, she knew she could talk to you because you had blue hair or pink hair or whatever hair it was. And it was like just the symbol of being like, I don't fit in this society, was enough to make that woman feel safe, because that woman felt othered, right? I am othered. People could be racist. People could be cruel to me, but found somebody else who stood out a little bit and trusted that person. So I think rather than stranger danger, 100% never talk to anybody that you don't already know. How are you going to meet people? Like, how do you grow the number of people that you know if you never talk to people? I digress. But like looking for somebody who has funny hair, looking for a parent with kids. These are great things to teach your kids so that they know who is probably safe. Who's a safer bet in this mix of a sea of people and I don't know where my mom is. And also, rather than like stranger danger, I've seen people teach like tricky people. So teaching things like adults will not ask a child for help. Like if somebody genuinely needs help, they're not going to go to a child and say, I lost my dog. Can you help me find my dog? That's not something that an adult would ask a child for help with. So teaching your children like what kinds of questions, or like if somebody comes to school to pick them up and they say, I'm your mom's friend, to have like a code phrase or something, say like, what's the password? And then if that kid doesn't know, or that guy doesn't know the password, you don't get in that car. I remember seeing a story there where like a literal family friend that this child knew, it's like a middle school girl. So like she knows this family friend, probably calls him uncle whatever, and he comes to pick her up and she's like, what's the password? And she wouldn't get in the car because he didn't say the password, even though she literally knew this man. That was kind of funny. So he had to like call like his buddy, her dad, and be like, what's the password? Because she won't get in my car. And I think I remember the dad being like pretty impressed, and he was like, the password worked. So there are ways to like let your child interact with the world around you, the world around them, and still like teach them things to keep them safe, right? Adults don't ask kids for help. If you get lost, find a parent with kids or find somebody with funny hair. There are ways to be safe that don't completely isolate you. And I think like that's what I'm going for here is like we do need to rely on each other a little bit. We need to wave to our neighbors a little bit, you know? Because if we don't do that, if we don't build the village, then we don't have the village when we need it. And then we're all alone when we're lost in the mall. You know, we lose everything. We need each other. And that is why you talk about the weather in the elevator. The end. So now my official recap. Number 1, small talk is good. Number 2, smile at children, you asshole. Be nice to kids. Wave back when they say hi. And number 3, you don't have to small talk like once you have established the relationship with somebody, but like still be nice. Still be, I don't know, just connect with another human person. That's great. Okay, I'm going to leave us here. Have a very safe and happy and wonderful new year. And I will see you again in 2026. All right. I love you guys. Bye.
Don't change your approach and tell you a joke to lighten your load and help you along or sing you a song. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.